let's talk about church just a minute. I suspect that each one of us in this room have at some time or another in this week used a phrase in reference to the activities of Sunday, a phrase that used the words my church, going to church, at church, haven't we? Do you realize that the only person who ever walked the face of this earth who had the right to use the phrase my church is Jesus Christ? Because the rest of us are the church. Church comes from an English word, comes directly from a Greek translation, which means the gathering of the fellowship of believers. But we've translated the word in our culture, in this land, to the meaning of a place to which one goes and acts a certain way. But if it's a place you can go and act one way, it's a place from which you can leave and act another way. And that is the problem. We have satisfied ourselves in succeeding generations and are currently teaching our children that church is a place you go. Listen to me. You are the army that must fight the battle for the soul of America. You are the church. Church isn't a place. Do you remember when Jesus said, whenever two or more are gathered, there am I in the midst of you? He was talking about church. He was talking about the gathering of the fellowship. Church is people, so you are the church gathered right now, but most of the time you are church dispersed. And until we get that difference in our mind, until the army that must fight this battle for the soul of a nation, this army that says, I won't retreat anymore. This army that says, I'm not backing away anymore. Until we understand that it doesn't happen in here, it happens out there. We will lose this nation. Most churches before whom I stand in this forum are more concerned with what happens inside these walls than they are what happens in the community in which they live. That must be changed. It must be changed. Folks, church as usual is losing this nation. So we are in a battle for the soul of America. The army that must fight that battle are the people, church. And the lines are clearly drawn. But it is not a political battle. It is a spiritual battle. Though it will be fought in part on a political plane, it is a spiritual battle. Politics are all around us. Politics in Baldwin County, politics in the state, politics in the nation. I don't know if you've heard, but there's a little election coming up in 16 days. Two men wishing to be president of the United States. One says, I've had the job and I need some more time to fulfill what I think is right. The other man saying, no, you've had your chance. It's time for something else in another philosophical position. There are no perfect candidates available for us. There never will be. There never have been. But there are two distinct positions to choose from. And in 16 days, this nation collectively will decide if we will continue to be a nation that defines itself by the grace and provision of God, from whom we receive our freedoms and liberties and rights, or if we will define ourselves as a nation under the state, the grace of the federal state from which we receive our rights and privileges. The positions are that clearly defined. I have heard among Christian folk. The frustration with the lack of a perfect candidate. Perfect candidate being defined as someone who thinks exactly like I do. Can't find one. And so some have decided they aren't going to vote. Let me speak to you if you are of that mind in this assembly this morning. Too many people have died. Too many people have struggled. Too many people have sacrificed for you or me or anyone else who calls themselves a citizen of faith in this nation to lightly ignore the opportunity to vote. You vote. You vote. You vote in a way as a citizen of faith that takes you closer to the things of this book. And I want you to know that I have no respect for a citizen of this nation who will not vote. But it's not a political battle, it's a spiritual battle. It's not an economic battle, though the battle will be fought in part on an economic plane. There are economic issues. Our debt is, without imagination, so large you can't even wrap your mind around it, and growing to the tune of between $4 and $5 trillion a year. There are no easy answers to this. We have allowed ourselves and participated in that establishment of debt. There is no easy way to get out of it. If a candidate for the President of the United States got up and told the truth about what it takes for this nation to heal economically, he would lose any hope of being elected.